Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne. How are you today? Hopefully, this will be a short teaching. Who are false teachers and false prophets? Who are they? Who are they identified as? We're going to have a look at Matthew 7. Matthew 7, verse 13 says, Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it, because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way that leads to life, and there are few who find it. Verse 15, Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Remember, remember Jesus said that he was the good shepherd, and that he was the gate, and he was the entrance to the sheepfold, and false teachers and robbers jump over into the sheepfold, but the true sheep enter via the gate. What if the gate is Jesus? And what if the narrow way is what he taught? What if the narrow way really is difficult and really is a way that's very hard to live by and will take effort? What if the false prophets and the false teachers look like actual sheep, talk like sheep, act like sheep, and to all intents and purposes are Christians? What if when Jesus says that in Matthew 24 that false prophets and false teachers and false Christs will arise, what if they're real teachers and popular people in the church? What if people are looking for false prophets and false teachers and they're actually sitting under the ministry of them? Have you ever heard that only the people who bear fruit are going to go to heaven? And have you ever heard it properly explained that when Jesus shared the parable of the three soils, the one that fell on stony ground, the one that fell on one with a little soil, the one that fell on the soil that had weeds, were all seeds that didn't bear fruit. And what if I told you that the seed that fell on the ground with weeds was the growth was stopped by the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches? What if I said that takes 90% of Christians out? What if I told you that the narrow road was obeying the 54 parables of Jesus and the 50 commandments of Jesus? What if I was to tell you that you can't just say a sinner's prayer and attend church for your life and go to heaven? What if there's more to Christianity than that? What if Jesus was telling the truth here, that only few find the narrow path and that it's difficult? What if there's more difficulty than reading your Bible for half an hour a day, praying for half an hour a day, and going to church? What if religion, which is tough and like a hard taskmaster, what if that's not enough? What if you're doing it the wrong way? What if most of the Christian teachers in the world are wrong and are teaching you error? What if a false prophet or false teacher is someone who is teaching doctrine that isn't Christ's doctrine? How many of you actually how many of you actually could tell me the meanings of the parables of Jesus. How many of you could actually tell me what each of the 54 parables of Jesus mean and how to apply them in your life? Why don't you know that? Have you been traveling on the Broadway that leads to destruction? Do you actually know the teachings of Jesus? You say you know Jesus. Can you put your right hand out there and shake his hand? Will he turn up when you're talking? Have you met him? Has he manifested himself to you? Do you know it says in John 14:21, if you love Jesus, you'll know his commandments. And if you obey his commandments, he will love you, his Father will love you, and he will manifest himself to you. Has Jesus manifested himself to you? Do you know his 50 commandments? Do you obey his 50 commandments? Do you obey his 54 parables? Are you even on the narrow way that leads to life? We've been taught a false doctrine, once saved, always saved doctrine, and this hyper grace teaching that teaches you that you're saved by faith, not by works, lest no man shall boast. We're taught this doctrine that you don't have to do anything. What if when Jesus was talking about false prophets and by their fruits you will know them, what if it's really true that in John 15, Jesus says, unless you abide in the vine, you won't bear fruit, and those without fruit will be cut off the vine. What if the weeds, the ones who grow up without weeds, with weeds and bear no fruit, what if they're cut off the vine? What if it's true that if you live for the world and the things of the world, you become lukewarm and you're cast out, you're vomited out of Jesus' mouth? Jesus is a lot harder to understand than me men teach what he is. And the narrow gate really is Jesus. Jesus said very clearly in the end times, in the end days, in the last day's judgment, you won't be judged by him, you'll be judged by his words. Are you obeying the words of Jesus? Are you living your life according to the teachings of Jesus? I wrote a book, Jesus dictated a book through me called The Commandments of Jesus, explained by Jesus himself. That's for 99 cents on Kindle in all countries. Jesus also dictated a book, The Parables of Jesus Made Simple, explained by Jesus himself. I encourage you to get those two books. Put them into practice over 2 to 5 years. Make a habit of doing them, and you'll be on the narrow path. I fear for the people of you who don't get those books and don't put that into practice, because I don't believe most Christians have fruit. God bless.